Well, you'll notice in this episode we're not using graphics that much. We're not going to be throwing up fancy titles, end credits, stuff like that we normally do with episodes here on Q to Cast. We just want to take the moment to talk about this. We talk about the 4 words, but we're only going to be using one today. And a very important one toward this story is share. If anything, as you're watching this, take a moment and send this out to anyone you know, friends, family. Maybe you know somebody that is in depressed or, going through some problems, and send them this video because some things have happened, and it happened to someone, didn't know him personally. It's from my neck of the woods, but he was part of the young creators here on YouTube, so he was part of the YouTuber family. And if you haven't heard this yet, because a lot of his videos have been pushed back because basically he had posted his suicide online, as far as his suicide note. If you haven't heard this, there was a YouTuber, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced the last name. His name was Desmond, but most people I think know him as Etika. I believe that was how it's pronounced. I may be wrong. I do apologize for that. He's a gaming YouTuber. Was on Twitch. He loved Nintendo. I really never really watched his videos. There was one or two I may have caught. I think something on Persona a bit back. But in the last year, he had a lot of followers. And I think 800,000, I think it was. He was a big channel. And basically, you had people who liked his video. There was very much, and then you had those who really criticized them. And when you're in this community, you're going to get your likes and dislikes. And when you get your dislikes, it's sometimes it's very heavy-handed. And now, and I always tell people, when you're commenting below, if you're angry of the comment of the story or something like that, take a how does you say a more conservative tone to everything, because basically, if you're sitting there just yelling, screaming, and all that out of pure anger, and you breathe a little of hatred against the person, you don't know how the person really feels. A person like Etika, he was battling with depression, and he was having some mental issues. I mean, he, from what I understand from the stories and stuff like that, he was taken in a couple of times, and one of them was filmed on video. We're not going to play it here because stuff like that should not be shown all out on there. It can be discussed, but showing it, just throws upon him because of the way it was, the people around was acting. It kind of glorifies the situation and makes it like, hey, But it is something that Etika was going through, and he needed help. And I know some people were trying to get help for him. And, he spent several times, he was taken in where he was hospitalized. They checked him over several times. And I guess they released him afterwards. But it came down recently that basically he went missing. And he posted a video apologizing to everyone, his fans, everybody. And it's in fact, YouTube has taken it down several times, and I can understand why YouTube would take it down. But it's hard, when you're like this. And I take it, for example, in my own life, in my own bouts of depression that I had when I was around his age. He was 29. I had my bouts in that time period also as well, in my early 20s, in my late 20s. And I did go out and get help, and I talked it out. And I still once in a while do sit down with somebody and talk these things out, because it's very important when you have a situation like this. And he went on a video and started talking and apologizing that he doesn't have anybody else, he's done, and then that was it, and he went missing. And just yesterday they found his body in the East River, and some people said he was near the Manhattan Bridge. And one thing around here lately, where we at, we have a lot of bridges in New York, the Manhattan, the Brooklyn, the Verrazano, the many different bridges. And lately we've been getting a lot of suicides at these bridges, especially like the Verrazano bridge. We've, I think it was about at least 2 or 3 suicides just in the last couple of weeks. And this is just showing you what is going on. And another thing is, every appointment of like I said, my health issues, I've been seeing the doctor lately. But I've noticed every time I've gone to the doctor, and it's not only me, every person has been given a mental health questionnaire. And I think the New York hospitals are trying to find out, if anybody needs additional help, which that's a good thing. And, one thing they always ask me, when they check, the nurses are checking your weight, your blood pressure, and all that. And one of the things they ask you, I say, "Are you depressed today?" And my last appointment, which was a couple of days ago, I was asked that, and the person that handles, who I see every once in a while, she came in to say hi. She came see how I'm doing, and she asked me a lot of questions. How am I doing? How this is doing, and that. I don't know if Desmond had this help this way. I mean, for a young guy who, in a way, was successful. I don't know how successful he was, as far as financially and stuff like that. I think, from what I understand from everyone else that has been talking about him, that, he was doing very well for himself. But I think, Geeks and Gamers had said, when you're that young and you haven't gone through your life and you're that successful at that age, you haven't really seen life. And, he says, work retail. And then become a YouTuber, and then you'll see it from a different atmosphere. That you're in retail, and I was in retail also. I've done retail, and let me tell you, that's some crazy work. And when you look back in life, and you're when you become very successful, and you say, well, I'm doing better now than I was then. But you have these kids that are just now successful, but haven't really nurtured life yet. And I think that's some of the issues. But there's many things that go into. We could sit here for hours talking about the many different things. Was that part of this? Yeah, it could be part of that. We don't know what was in Desmond's mind, and we'll never get to really know because he's gone. And it's a hard thing, and you see I'm struggling with this, and I've discussed this before. We've gone through this a couple of times. Last year we lost Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain, 2 big celebrities. And at that same time, there was a report put out that basically the CDC says that there is an increase of suicides. The rate's been going up. New York, it's about 30%, which is about the national average high in the country. Some people says, well, it's still low. That's ridiculous to say, well, the suicide is low, but we shouldn't pay. Even though it's low, we don't need to really pay attention. I think we do need to pay attention, and I think we're in a crisis point, and people on YouTube, I think they're hit a lot. I mean, I've dealt with my critics, and I've dealt with people that are just like dislike, and I have to say, I knock on wood, I've been lucky. I haven't had happen some of the things that other people have had happen to them. They're being attacked. Their lives are being attacked. Their families are being attacked. When you hear stories from other cases, when you hear what's going on with the umbrella guy with his family, and then when you're hearing other people that just basically are just sitting there and chastising because of some of the beliefs on there. And it's very, and when you read Twitter and you read the comments on YouTube, it's very disparaging that you see some of the comments, some people, the hatred some people have for people. And, you don't know what you're doing to a person when you're saying these things, because you don't know how the person feels. I mean, I see, a lot of the videos out here that I go through, and I hear in the voices, because I've had it in my voice, and I could hear some of the depression there. It's something you have to understand if you've gone through this, and if you've gone through the issues that I've gone through in my life. You tend to sometimes hear something that you normally that I said years ago, and you're hearing it now, and you're like, whoa. It's like a flashback, hearing some of the things. And I'm always saying, if you feel, just a little depressed or something like that, reach out to somebody, jump out at them, say, hey, listen, can we talk a little bit? Or reach out to a social worker, or reach out, if you go into your doctor's appointment, if you're a clinic doctor, ask them, do they have somebody I can talk to? There are a lot of social workers, mental health experts. There's people out there. There are organizations that are being paid by the states themselves and the federal government to give you this. Some of your health plans have this. If you happen to be under Medicaid, those plans are available as well. I would take advantage of them. But if you feel really, really hard on it, this is right now we put up on here, and you've seen it flashed a couple of times, and I've used this before. This is the number to the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. It is a lifeline, as it says. It's 1-800-273-TALK, or 1-800-273-8255. Use this number. Reach out to them, because there are professionals out there. There are people that are willing to talk with you. Taking your life, it's not worth it. The pain. If you're going through pain and you're going through suffering, speak to somebody. It's always very important, because you've been given a precious gift, life itself. My old Catholic school days, when I was in Catholic school, and they teach you these things there, that basically, love one another. If someone is in need, try to help them the best way you can. This is where I, can say, this is one of the ways that I can help. Give this number out, share this video, share a couple of the other videos. I know Geeks and Gamers has one. Let's see, Tech Views, a couple of other YouTubers. Type in Desmond's name in there, you'll find them. There's a lot of videos out there by other YouTubers that have sat down and talked about this. And like I said, I never met the guy. I've never conversed. I don't really watch his videos. I may have watched maybe one or two, if any, but that doesn't mean he wasn't important. Like I said, every YouTuber here, and I've always said this, always support the YouTubers, you know, these young creators, especially a lot of the young ones, because basically they're just starting out in life. They're starting, you know, a lot of them have become successful, but they haven't really gone through life and to the understandings. I mean, some of them you may disagree with their views. That's understandable, you know. But to chastise them the way some people do, you know, you don't know everyone's state of mental health, you know. And take it from someone who's gone through. I tell you, I could sit here for hours talking about a lot of the things, you know. And the other thing is, in my life, I had a family member who took their life when I was very, very young. When I was a child. It was a very close member, and they took their life, and I wasn't told this until many years later. I had knew he had passed away, but I wasn't told how. And basically, it was to the point where, you know, when I reached a certain age, my family told me what happened, and I was, you know, it was at the point when I was battling depression, and I was seeking help at that time. You know, it was a very, very rough time for me in my youth. Even though I was doing productions back then, I was in broadcasting. I was doing public access. I was doing a lot. I mean, you know, a lot of people says, well, you know, people who are depressed, they close themselves out. They don't talk to any, don't do things. No, there are many people out there that are working their normal jobs. They're doing what they do like to do. Like Desmond. Desmond was doing what he liked to do. But something happened, something clicked, and he just fell into another direction, and it just basically, you saw him crashing on, you know, on YouTube. I mean, literally, that's what was happening to him. I mean, you had NYPD emergency services come into his home to take him, you know, to a facility. And, you know, myself, I was doing what I like to do. I was going to school. I was doing the TV shows that we normally do. But yet, you know, I was still going out, sitting with somebody once a week and talking out these issues. You know, back when I was younger, and I would assume these organizations still exist in New York City. Basically, you know, there were these organizations that dealt with young people in their problems. You know, it was a mixture. I forgot the name of it. They were like adoptive, separation, stuff like that. Because my family, you know, my mother and my father were separated, and those were some of the issues I had to go through. And there were other issues I was going through because I was, as a person, I was attacked a lot, you know, when I was in school, and I couldn't understand why. You know, people say, well, you probably were bullied and stuff like that. I said, yeah, but when it's one person and that person, family, just took it upon yourself to just continue to attack me constantly for no reason. I mean, they just literally, I never knew, to this day, I never knew why, you know, they did this. And, you know, as I got older, you know, things started to just cloud up a bit. And I just had to talk it out. And some friends of mine, you know, knew some people, and, you know, I went to a group therapy, and then I went to a single one-on therapy, you know, where I stayed for at least 2-3 years. And then basically I stopped for a while, and then I started up again after a couple of years. And it's kind of rough. And, to see something like this happen to a young man like this, 29 years old. He was 29 years old. He needed help. And there's a lot of other people out there who needs help. And like I said, share this video with friends. Share this with people that, could be with these problems. Tell them they need to speak it out sometimes. Also, maybe you might want to give them this number, the National Suicide Hotline, 1-800-273-TALK. They may need somewhere to talk to. There are agencies in New York and throughout the country, basically that are, and you hear that the people, even around the world. I mean, you're hearing like in Japan, for example, there's a forest where people go out and commit suicide. There's a high depression level in Japan also, and you see it's spreading along the, all over the country, and it's spreading throughout the world. And we need to get a hold of this before it's too late. And let me top off and finish here because we've gone for a bit. Rest in peace, Desmond. The world could have done better for you. I'm sorry it didn't. But I hope that people take something from this and see that if they themselves need help, they'll now look for that help because of your name being said out there and people talking about you. Let's hope. Like I said, I didn't know the guy, but I'm sorry this happened for him, and I'm sorry he didn't get the proper help he needed. He was crying for help out there, and there was some acknowledgement of it, but was it enough? I don't think so. So, share this video. Don't forget the suicide hotline there. Very important. We're going to leave this up, and we're going to leave the number in the description below. So until later, we'll discuss some other things. So take this, pass this on, and we'll see you later.